Sony really started their reveal event and the PS5 generation off with a bang when they debuted Spider-Man Miles Morales. New character, did not call it. Oh, look at those powers. The suit looks so sick. Spider-Man 2, baby. Miles Morales. Be greater. Oh my gosh. But ever since that magic moment, it's been complete mystery. Like, what the heck is this game? Are they delivering a true sequel? Or is it something far less? I mean, Sony themselves have even put out conflicting information about what the heck this new title or update or remaster is. So today we're going to tell you exactly what it is, what it's going to be like, and why this is the best case scenario possible. What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for being here and making the first few days of XPForce awesome. If you want to subscribe to the most fun channel for Xbox Series X and PS5 games and goodness, I'd love to have you aboard. I was ready to hop aboard the hype train. New Spider-Man for PS5 was such a stunning way to start things off. It got the crowd going crazy across the globe. And then what? Huh? Half the people thought it was a sequel. Half the people thought it was DLC. Half the people had no idea what was going on. And we found out this morning from a Bloomberg report that no, in fact, it was a remaster from the PS4 Spider-Man, now with some added content, which seemed like a complete bait and switch. And people took to Twitter pretty pissed off. Like, yo, Miles Morales sounded like a great standalone Spidey, and instead, I have to rebuy Spider-Man for PS4 for PS5? Isn't that supposed to be Xbox that's doing the same games everywhere? Oh, now Sony is getting in on the action and wants to carry over some of their PS4 titles to PS5? This doesn't make sense. Jim Ryan told me next gen is next gen, and all we saw the rest of the day was bold new titles like Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart and Horizon Forbidden West. Then they came out and said, it's not a remaster at all. Make sure to smash that like button if you're excited for Spider-Man on PS5, and let me know in the comments down below if you feel relieved once you find out exactly what it is. I know I do, and I think you will as well. So what is Spider-Man Miles Morales? Well, in my opinion, it was never going to be a full-on sequel because Spider-Man came out in 2018, and expecting Insomniac to not only turn around a brand new, fully length Spider-Man game in 2 years, but also a brand new Spider-Man game for a brand new console in 2 years, that's asking an incredible amount, like a hulking amount of development power that I don't know is even plausible given the short time frame. But to be fair, Sony wasn't very clear. They almost intentionally made things unclear, and I don't like that move. I wish they would have been a little more straightforward with what they set out to do with this game, because the hype is there, and they kind of capitalized on that hype to their advantage. But the good news, my friends, is the worst case scenario isn't reality. This is not a remaster. You don't have to rebuy Spider-Man PS4. No, this is a standalone game in the vein of Uncharted Lost Legacy or Infamous First Light. Now, there's a big distinction between those two, and I want to establish that this is going to be much more like Infamous First Light than Uncharted Lost Legacy. What I mean by that is in Uncharted Lost Legacy, the $40 standalone Chloe-led Uncharted adventure from Naughty Dog, they did not reuse assets from Uncharted 4. They crafted wholly new environments, different characters, completely new scenarios, and an original storyline that existed completely on its own. That game was very separate from Uncharted 4 in just about every way. Now, Spider-Man Miles Morales is going to be a lot more like Insomniac's other work, Infamous First Light, in that it will reuse much of what made Spider-Man tick on the PS4. Now, I think it'll be fully enhanced for PS5, and it makes perfect sense when you think back and look at the history. Mark Cerny utilized the city of New York in Spider-Man PS4 to describe and explain how PS5 really expands the options for open worlds. When they first discussed with Wired the incredible SSD that's a part of this infrastructure, they showed off the city swinging by and how fast and seamless that could be. So when we oddly got word from a Sony exec that this was a remaster, and frankly, I'm not sure how you botched that within 1 day of your big presentation, but when we got that word, it's because it is in a way borrowing from the original game. Now, there is no need to repurchase, and there isn't going to be a Spider-Man Remastered sold on store shelves as far as we know. This will be a standalone product that I expect to be $40. But that shouldn't worry you all too much. One, because Insomniac made First Light fantastic. If you haven't played Infamous Second Son or the expansion Standalone, you really should. Those are phenomenal games, and I do hope at one point the studio returns to that superhero. Also, reused assets when the game takes place in New York, it's not as big of a deal to me. I mean, everyone's familiar with this city, and would they really mix things up too crazily even if it was a full-on sequel? I don't know. It will feel familiar, but we know that the storyline will be brand new. We know that Miles' powers will also be different. So you are going to experience the lore, the fantastic characters that Insomniac has infused into this IP in a new way. And they're going to probably deliver a very engaging tale with Miles at the forefront. And I expect his suit and his functionality to be really fun to play as. So you're getting a new experience within an old experience that doesn't require a previous purchase. It sounds great in my opinion, and I think we should be very excited. You can definitely expect the same type of quality from Spider-Man PS4 in Spider-Man Miles Morales, and I feel like they'll still want to hit a home run to deliver a knockout punch at launch in this new console generation. Plus, it's freaking Miles Morales. I mean, have you seen Into the Spider-Verse? That movie is amazing. This character has always been beloved and fantastic, and now we get to be him for a big chunk of time. They aren't selling you a small 2-hour DLC add-on. This is going to be a beefy campaign where we really get to dig deep into what it means to be Miles Morales. And I think this is the best case scenario. In fact, I am super stoked that James Stevenson came out and said this is a standalone title and not Spider-Man 2. Not an expansion, not DLC, not a remaster, standalone. $40 in stores is what I anticipate, and I think that is supremely awesome. Here's why. I know a lot of you wish that this was Spider-Man 2, and, you know, if I'm honest, me as well, but it just wasn't possible given where we are in the calendar. There's no way they were going to deliver a truly evolutionary Spider-Man 2 in 2 years. But we're going to get it. You know that Insomniac is hard at work on Peter Parker's next big adventure, and that one will blow our socks off. But that's not to say that Miles Morales can't do the same, and it allows us to experience Spider-Man on PS5 from the jump. A brand new adventure that is standalone, that has a character that we got to play a piece of in the first game, but now really is going to step into his own suit, his own shoes, and create a bold new storyline, set of abilities, and hopefully phenomenal experience that we can all take together on our brand new Alienware router box, which, by the way, I still love a day later. And what this also does is craft 2 Spider-Man experiences for us within the first few years of the PS5 lifecycle. And that's freaking amazing. We're gonna get 2 Spidey games, one at the mid-tier price point that does reuse assets and the city, but changes up the characters and shows what Spider-Man can be with the new tech, and then a true full-on, full-bore sequel back in the shoes of Peter Parker, probably with different environments and with the full backing of the PS5's massive might. So that's really fun for fans. And then there's the other side benefit of Sony will now need another title, first party, on store shelves this holiday season. I firmly believe they do not want to walk into launch with a $40 product from the first parties, and that's it. They will have another one. Ratchet & Clank seems like a great candidate, and golly goodness, Lombax action on PS5 is a stunner. Also, female Lombax action, don't forget that. But can Insomniac really deliver a $40 and a $60 title on launch day? That seems a little bit risky. Maybe they will spread them out. Perhaps one isn't at launch and one is, but I now think there's a good chance that Sony might be prepping Horizon Forbidden West for the launch window. Now, we don't have any specific information that indicates this, but they have been prepping that game for a while. It's had more time than Spidey, and will Sony feel comfortable having just one $40 first-party game at your Walmart, your Target, your Amazon, and GameStop? I can't see it going that way. I think they want more, and I think they know their key to success, their ticket to our wallets and our hearts, is with their IP, and they will want to deliver at least one more that we can go out and get excited for during Thanksgiving, Christmas, and the holiday season. And whew, people can put the pitchforks away. It was getting a little nasty out there in the Twitterverse when people found out that it was gonna be a remaster after the presentation seemed to indicate that it was brand new. So I'm glad that that story has been course corrected. The actuality is a standalone $40 game in the vein of two phenomenal standalone $40 games. Lost Legacy and First Light, they're no slouches. If you haven't played them, go give them a look. I love those games, and I love the fact that we can all be excited now about a brand new Spidey that isn't compromised, but also keeps things open for the future. What I also find intriguing is that this is Sony borrowing a bit of Microsoft's playbook. Not in the same way, of course, but they are capitalizing on something from the current gen to carry over into the next. Now, they're not fully in any way doing the, hey, you can buy the game and play it anywhere. In fact, Miles Morales seems to be truly exclusive to PlayStation 5, which in some ways is very smart. Yet they are carrying over and crossing over an experience that you remember and love on PS4 with some of the assets, but now expanded into PS5. So in a weird way, it's riffing on Microsoft's concept of complete console cohesion, except it's gonna cost you a lot. Because while they are tapping into the nostalgia and fun that you had on PS4, they're saying we still want you to buy our really sexy alien box for $500. So I'm incredibly excited. I did get a little nervous and panicked when it sounded like Sony did completely flip-flop and we're gonna be delivering a remaster, but thankfully that's not the case. I love Spider-Man PS4. From the movement to the battle system, the upgrades, and the way they integrate you, the player, into the body of Spider-Man, being the web slinger better than ever before. We look at how successful Batman Arkham was at placing you in the boots of Batman. The Cape Crusader comes to console and you are fully immersed. Insomniac did that for Spider-Man, and I loved so much of that game. They top tiered this one, guys and girls. Insomniac did a remarkable job, and I think they deserve a huge round of applause. I was nervous, I was worried. Would this game be able to deliver given the expectations? The answer is yes. The answer is a resounding yes. And by all accounts, this one's gonna be out in like 5 months. So I'm sure we'll get more details. Maybe Sony will integrate it into an upcoming state of play. I'd love to see some more gameplay and hear a bit about the plot line and who's going to be the main adversary in Miles Morales' adventure. I will have you guys covered, so make sure to subscribe and turn that notification bell on. It's going to be a glorious journey from now until launch, and then we get to play it. In fact, I'm itching to go back and play Spider-Man PS4. Even though I've beaten complete that game, I just want to be in that world. And then being able to have the direct comparison of how that city works on PS4, and then how it's opened up on PS5, and then what the dream becomes for Spider-Man 2. They will have a tall task, because I'm sure Miles will impress, but then how do they double down and make it even more exciting for the full-on sequel a year, 2 years, 3 years down the line? I do wonder what this does to the timetable for a true Spider-Man 2, especially since the studio is working on 2 projects right out the gates for the big new console, but I don't think it's that far off. In fact, I fully expect Sony to load the front half of this console lifecycle with their biggest characters and their most important IP. Kratos, Peter Parker, Miles Morales, Ratchet, and Aloy all come into the console. I mean, the only ones we're missing are Drake and Ellie. But we're getting Last of Us 2 real soon, and maybe we'll see some sort of PS5 conversion or multiplayer that exists across both consoles. I don't know. In the meantime, let me know what you feel about this Spider-Man news. Now that you know what the game is, are you gonna get it? Are you as excited as I am? I want to hear from you. Thanks so much for being here. I appreciate all of you. I hope you're staying safe and staying healthy. Thanks for supporting this channel and believing in me. We are gonna have so much fun. So until next time, everybody, next gen is here. Let's get ready.